Hello everyone and welcome to the latest episode of A Day in the Life. My name's Simon Linstead. I'm the founder and the host of the InfoSec Live community. This series is brought to you today live on YouTube. For those of you who are watching, please jump in the chat with any questions that you have for our guest. These episodes are aimed at helping you raise your game in cybersecurity by bringing some industry leaders to you to share their stories and their experiences of how they broke into the industry. I won't waste any more time rambling on because those who know me know I do that too much anyway. I'm going to bring on straight away our guest, and our guest is Jessica Boyer. Hey Jessica, how are you?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. A little bit cold, as I said to you earlier. We've run out of heating oil here in the UK. Well, not everyone, just us. So sitting here rubbing my hands together, but very excited to have this chat with you. Would you tell
Yes.
the audience a bit about yourself?
Yes, my name is Jessica Boyer. My current role is I'm an information security analyst for eHealth. That eHealth is where I broke into this industry. My background is over 20 years of the IT support industry, help desk, service desk, and then I worked my way up to system admin, had some network admin roles. My education background was more technology, tech based, not so much college. I did get college credits. However, we have what are called technology centers where it's a lot of hands-on training and not so much nose in the books. We actually do a lot of break fix type of work. And not only that, but we volunteered. We fixed up school computers and we had people donate computers that we fixed up for schools. So it was a lot of hands-on learning, which throughout my career, I've had my hands in a lot of different aspects of IT, and I love it. I love being that kind of that jack or Jill of all trades and learning everything I can. And now I'd like to, where I've gotten myself and where I'm continuing to going, I want to share and help other newcomers and drive this. I jumped off in LinkedIn in 2020, early of 2020, or just right before the pandemic kicked off. I had my profile out there for a while, like it'd just been sitting there. I hadn't really done much with it. And then I was like, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way to get yourself out there and put yourself out there than just spraying resumes and praying that you'll get a call. I live in Oklahoma right now. I've lived all over the country, but the area that I live in is smaller. It's not a very big city, so the jobs for IT are very limited, and it's heavily saturated with people. So I knew there had to be a better way, and I did. I got online. I started connecting with people in this industry, and it just took off from there. It blew up.
I think it's the story you hear all the time, the spray and pray approach to job searching or sending off resumes. And I mean, I've said this before online, it's not something I've ever done before. I'm a great believer in the importance of building relationships to get work. And I think you found that from coming on LinkedIn and doing that yourself. And your job today is an information security analyst, is that right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Let's talk about what that actually means. So there are 53, 54 or more jobs in cybersecurity. Lots of the people watching this know a lot about red teaming, pen testing, and being a SOC analyst.
Yeah.
Tell us a bit about what it means to be a security analyst, please.
So of course, we have a SOC that we it's a smaller, so when you're in the space, okay, I've learned that information security analysts can mean a different thing everywhere, depending on how big the size of the company is. And depending on how big they are, you could be narrow focused, like level 1 SOC, level 2 SOC, or because we're a smaller company, I literally have my hand in everything.
Yeah.
The security tools, the alerting, adjusting those alertings, writing the playbooks, actually supporting GRC, which governs risk and acceptance, helping audit, helping drive good security behaviors. Actually, this job gave me an opportunity to help rewrite our security awareness training. So with my colleagues, we did that, and we helped improve it. And it's really been fantastic that I have found with the smaller companies and these smaller roles, and I won't say smaller roles, but when it's not so heavy-handed, like you've got Google and Amazon and Microsoft, the smaller companies actually give you a broader range of what you can do and what you can learn. And I
I,
don't think
I
people realize
completely,
that.
I completely agree, and it goes back to what we've said before about one job title for one firm or one job can mean a
It
completely
doesn't.
different day-to-day role. And
Yeah,
this
and
goes
sometimes it doesn't
back
even
to
matter.
that spray and pray, though, doesn't it? Because if you're sending out the same resume to 50 different information security analyst roles with the same information in, the likelihood of that being relevant to all of those is slim or none. Because I've been a small business owner and I know what the office manager role within a small business means. You do everything from accounts to marketing to picking up the phone to picking up the post. And it's no different in information security or IT either, is it? I think before we outsourced our IT within my organisation, we had one bloke who we had on the phone, and the rest of us used to do it ourselves. And how different that is, and to when I worked at companies like Lloyd's Bank or Aegon, big blue chip companies, where your role is very defined and you know what you're going to be doing every day.
Yep.
Saying that, then, would you recommend? Where's it better to learn the trade? Is it better to learn your trade in a bigger environment where you're focusing on one area, or are you better off learning lots? What do you think
I
about
think it
that?
depends on the person. I think it depends on what you are interested in. If you're like me and soak up information and you want to know it all, not that I know it all, I'm still learning.
But you want
But
to, yeah.
but if you want to, if that's where you want to drive your career, honestly, look at smaller companies and and I know people kind of poo-poo this and they don't like hearing it, but some of the best places that I've worked and I learned the most were smaller companies when I did IT support, because it allowed me to not do only customer support, but I was working on their servers. I was learning what it meant to in Active Directory. I literally almost did everything. So don't put down those support roles. You'll learn a lot there. You need those basic fundamentals. It'll help you. It'll project you further than what you imagine it would.
And it can also give you exposure to things that you wouldn't have tried before that you may enjoy. Don't discount
Yeah.
that either, because like you say, you learn so much. There's the practical applications you learn from the different softwares and frameworks that you use, but there's also those really important soft and interpersonal skills where you're dealing with really awkward customers on the phone and having to deal with people who can't turn on and off the plug on their computer.
Yeah.
It's a massive skill set to learn, and one that, from a lot of the people I've spoken to in the industry at a high level, seems to be quite lacking.
Yeah. It's, I believe for this industry that, and I firmly believe this, there is a place for everybody. And you'll notice in the IT industry, there is a lot of introverts. I'm extrovert, so I'm kind of an oddball. Um, but there's neurodivergent, there's introverts, but if you can put yourself and get used to talking with people, communicate with people, learning how to deal with frustrating situations and handling that, I'm telling you that that will be your biggest hurdle you will accomplish, and it will push your career so much further. You know, a lot of people said that you can teach tech skills, and you can teach those. Personal skills, people skills, that's a little bit harder for some people to learn. So if you can get out of your comfort zone, it'll really progress your career.
I think, you know, people say some people are more naturally have a more natural ability at certain things, and that's definitely true. But as you rightly say, soft skills can be learned as well, and it's pushing yourself, and putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations. I mean, give this conversation we're having. Use this as an example. 3 months ago, when I started recording myself on video for the first time, my wife's reaction was, "Why are you frowning and why do you look so angry?" And it's because the whole situation of talking to yourself and looking at the camera rather than you is the most unnatural thing in the world. And I still do it now, and I haven't had Botox, but when I get that, then I won't have to frown anymore. But my point is, I'm an extrovert as well, Jessica, but
Yeah.
situations like that I still find quite nerve-wracking and uncomfortable. And the only thing that gets you over that is repeatedly doing it and putting yourself in the position where you are uncomfortable.
Yeah. So funny you say that. I was on LinkedIn, and I was conversing with, connecting with people in the cyberspace, commenting on and having conversations on people's posts. And then I started seeing more people post video content. And so one of my connections, his name is Joel. He challenged me in his video for me to start doing video content. And I was just like, oh God, I hate being in front of the camera. Like, that is the most, like, I don't enjoy it. I like being in front of people, and that doesn't bother me. But being in
It's
front of,
bad enough hearing your own voice, isn't it?
yes,
Never mind watching yourself as well.
yes, you're like, oh God, I look ridiculous.
I still feel like that every day.
So he did. He made a challenge, and it took me a few tries. I think one of my first videos, I was in my closet because I was hiding away from my kids because they wouldn't leave me alone and be quiet. So I'm like, "Hey, coming you from my closet because I'm trying to hide from my kids." And it, like,
The difficulty I have is that I spent all of my adult life not on social media. And I was the person who's always had a problem with it. So people used to think I was really awkward because everyone else was on Facebook sharing all their information. You know, my children are all like, "Oh, our dad's really awkward," and they used to spend a load of time on YouTube years ago. And I used to take the mickey because all I'd hear is, "Hey guys," from the other room, and it would be them trying to make these videos. So imagine their horror when their 47-year-old dad does do YouTube videos now. So I suppose it's payback in a way, isn't it?
yeah, it is. I don't think my kids were never. I mean, they watch YouTube. I have a son that, like, I would always ask him. I'm like, "Why are you watching people stream and play games? I'm like, what are you doing?" And he was like, "What's the difference between that and watching a game on TV?" And I was like,
And the thing is, I've had the same conversations, but the more I think of more over the last 18 months, I've realised I was wrong on a number of things. Firstly, the whole online community thing I've always looked at in disdain, if I'm honest, because I've always been a people person. I've always wanted to be around people. So I've always thought like having friends online was something that I'd never do. Well, look
yeah,
at me now. I've got friends all over the world. I've built stronger relationships with people through video calls and messages than I have through any face-to-face interaction. So I'm probably the biggest case in point of learning that sometimes we have to admit we're wrong and to embrace
yeah.
new ideas.
I my parents, I think, got their first computer. I think I had to have been like probably 16. AOL, You Got Mail, ICQ. So I was on a lot of those message boards and chats and Yahoo chats and stuff like that. Um, but so that wasn't so new to me. What was new to me is recording myself. That was not in my comfort zone whatsoever. So when he challenged me to do that, and I did that, and I kept doing it, I got more comfortable. Well, that turned into
Would
my
you ever
manager.
get out of the closet, or do you still do it inside the cupboard?
No, I did. I did. But posting those videos, my manager actually found me. She found my content. She watched one of my videos. She couldn't tell me which one it was. She reached out to me and said, "Hey, I have this junior position. You know, here it is. I'd like to talk to you about it." And she showed me everything it was, what it listed. And I was like, "Look, I'll be honest with you. A lot of those tools I've never touched in my life, but here is what I can do. Every job that I've been into, there is something new. You won't walk into a job
No.
and find that you know it all. Every company uses a different software. Sorry.
It's all right.
Little one's trying to hand me Play-Doh.
What are you making? I used to have one the way you made the hair when you turned it and the hair came out the top. You remember
Yeah, I
that?
got them some sparkly Play-Doh to play with, and she's trying to get me to open it for her.
It used to be slime in our house a few years ago. The craze was slime, and it was trying to find eye drops, I think is what you needed, and borax. We were scouring supermarkets for days trying to find the right ingredient.
I am so thankful now we have a house that is all like hardwood floors and stuff like that, because geez, I like trying to get that stuff out of carpet was just not fun. And I finally had to tell him, I was like, no more, no more. I can't deal with this anymore.
No,
Play-Doh's a
I know
lot
that
easier
feeling.
to clean up.
It goes nice and hard if you leave it long enough, doesn't it?
You can just vacuum it up. Yeah.
I don't know how we got on the Play-Doh. I do think that the whole pandemic and people working from home, I've seen some really people try and hide the fact that they've only got a suit on the top half and joggers on the bottom. But we're all human beings. We've all got families. Why, I don't want, like you probably don't, particularly my children online. But the fact that they're in the background and chatting away while you're on a call, why does it matter? It shouldn't matter,
Yeah.
should it?
No, and it's nice that I found a company that really respects family, and they went very remote when the pandemic kicked off. Like I said, I jumped on LinkedIn in like early 2020. One of my contract jobs was about to end, and I got on there. I didn't have a job. I was like, why the hell not? Just why not? Connect, start learning, start seeing what I need to do. I knew even before that job, I had this security mindset and this security focus, and I knew that's where this industry was going, and I wanted to drive my career that way. And so I was like, the best people that I could learn from is the people that are already in that space and they're willing to share and willing to help. And LinkedIn has been that huge support of community. And
Yeah.
even in the last 2 years, oh my God, has it blown up even more? I mean, I see newbies on there all the time. Hey, I got a job. Thank you. Reaching out, really putting themselves out there. And it's really amazing to see that the professionals and the people that are experienced in there helping them out, willing to help and willing to.
I've never known an industry like it, Jessica. I worked in financial services for 20 years, which is very different with regards to knowledge sharing. And for so many people to reach out and help others is something I've never seen before. And I think that's quite industry specific. There seems to be a real culture of, maybe it's the whole open source culture of knowledge sharing and trying to do things collaboratively more than it is in other industries. I don't know. Or maybe it's the passion that we see in this industry, and that's something that people talk about a lot. And I think there are a lot of people trying to get in the industry for the money, not for the passion. And
Yeah, and
my
it's
experience on that is there's easier ways to make money if you're not interested in it.
yeah, and unfortunately, different cultures will push touting. They've got to be professional. They got to pick only these three, doctor,
Yeah.
lawyer, IT, and if their culture is pushing them to that, they may not have the passion for it. And this has got to be something that you love, that you want to do, because I'm going to tell you right now, there's times where it gets stressful. There's times where it's maddening. And you've really got to learn a lot of patience too, because yes, you may be right about the security controls. Yes, you may be right about things you want to drive toward better security behaviors, but you've got to work with a lot of different people You got to work with your executives. You've
And
got to work with
they're
your
all pulling their own way with their own agendas as well.
yes, and it can be maddening and frustrating, and you've got to learn how to work with them, have the patience, and not just completely lose your head and lose your mind on them. I've seen where security teams have this strong, like, just hit them on the head hard. If they do something wrong, we're just going to pound them into the ground and, just jump out of the closet at them like monsters, and that's not helpful. That is
No,
not helpful at all.
it's not. Let's talk about your time in help desk, because the one thing I learned, or the biggest thing I learned, was the importance of having that fundamental network knowledge or the fundamental understanding of how things work. And there's a lot of people out there at the moment I see who are trying to jump from a fairly low knowledge base and understanding to a higher up role, perhaps. And I think managing people's expectations is very important. I think a very good job is being done of that by training providers who are managing them in the wrong way, by promising people things that are perhaps fairly unlikely to happen. Yes, there are a few people who smash their way into the industry, but they are the ones you spoke about a little while ago, Jessica, who go above and beyond to make sure they get noticed by people and
Mhm.
don't spray and pray resumes. They then get approached as you did because they get noticed. And that's one of my biggest concerns about things at the moment. Do you think people discount help desk as a way in too much? Because the breadth of knowledge you learn there is amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I've had conversations with people that I've tried to, they're out there looking for jobs. They only want a security job, and I'm like, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I was like, it may not happen. It may not happen for you for a year or two. I was like, try service desk, try help desk, break yourself in to that industry because you will make connections there. Because the help desk, service desk, system admins collaboratively, you end up talking to the security team
Yeah.
if they have a security team. Some don't. Some rely totally on IT and help desk. So if you're in a smaller space where they don't have a security team,
You are the
this
security team.
you are the security team. So you're putting yourself in a position to be that as well. So not only do you have on your resume that you were support, but you did the security too. And
I
I
think
think
people have to realise, Jessica, that not only is cybersecurity, well, one is the support industry for the
mhm,
IT industry, but also it's very, very new. And unless you are a massive company or a company that is regulated, it will
mhm,
only have been the last few years where cybersecurity is rearing its head and making people sit up and take notice. So most smaller firms don't have a cybersecurity department, and what they do have is an IT support department,
yeah,
which they then try and bolt people into. Seems to be what's happening at the moment, doesn't it?
yeah, it is. Or what's happening now is basically is happening security as a service, right?
Yeah.
They're pushing their security off into a different space, but
I've,
as a
I've, had,
help
I've had mixed stories on that as well.
yes, as a help desk service desk, you're still interacting with those security teams and stuff like that because then they're going to alert you if something comes up. You're going to have to work with them to figure out the issues. So you're still going to get that footing and talking to them. So don't discount these smaller roles. And for me, when I say smaller roles, it's not. I have a heart for this industry. And when you talk about support roles, to me, they're not smaller. They are the backbone. They are the ones that are in the trenches when things happen and things don't work right. They're there trying to solve the issues. They're there talking to your customers.
They're on
They're
the
there
front line as
supporting.
well. Yeah,
Yeah,
not just the trenches, but the front
yeah,
line, like you say, the
yeah,
customer.
they're supporting the customers, they're supporting you as an employee, and they're supporting the executives too. Because I'm going to tell you right now, not a lot of executives have technical skills. That's not what they're there
One
for.
of, one of
And
my one of my favorite sayings is that the CEOs are more likely to be market traders or financiers than they are technical people, and
yep,
you find that with more and more businesses. And people always say about the importance of relating things to the C-suite, But I'm sure you realise the importance of doing it the other way as well, because you alluded to it earlier when you were talking about, or we were talking about people pulling different ways within organisations. And sometimes when you know there's a security concern, but you can't get the budget for it, if you've got the experience of how a business works and maybe the reason for that and on a business angle, you can
Mhm.
then help convey that to your team members to help relieve that frustration, which again is maybe a skill you'd learn in help desk because you're learning how to talk to people.
Yeah, and one of the things that I was proud about for myself, and I learned very early on, is don't sit there and expound your technical jargon on people and make them feel stupid. Like, I've had that done to me.
Yeah.
It's not fun. But when you take the time to explain technical tech talk and break it down to where people can understand it, you have no idea how much they appreciate that. And I've had people say, thank you for taking the time to explain to me and not making me feel stupid. Because people can learn. You can learn, but you need to be able to break it down for them in the way they can learn it. You know, not all of us get all this technical jargon. There's stuff that people say to me, and I'm like sitting there Googling. I'm like, what the hell does this mean?
Well, welcome to my world. I think that this industry is similar to my previous one, financial services, in as much that there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge, but some of those people become quite gatekeeperish with it. And they like the fact that there's so many different acronyms and it's all very confusing. And I think they're not only stopping people coming into the industry, but they're the ones causing the security concerns to get worse because the C-suite aren't engaging with them for that very reason.
Yeah, and it's sad, and you're not going to get anywhere if you're going to be a gatekeeper. If you're going to be the one that touts that you know it all and you don't want to share your knowledge, you're not going to get anywhere with your career. You're going to stall yourself out. Nobody's going to want to work with you if you're going to be like that. So be open to having people, and even if it's a simple question and you think like, this is dumb, why are they asking me this? Like, you should know this. Take the time to explain things to them, and don't ever make somebody feel stupid for asking a simple question.
Well, they're the same people you see on LinkedIn trolling people's comments quite a lot.
Yeah, I love LinkedIn, but some of that I've had to just like freaking ignore because it's like they're going to do it for whatever reason they're doing it. They get their knocks off on doing it. And it's some of it, it doesn't even help to respond to them because you're just giving
You
them fuel.
you are, and I actually listened to a post from Enrique Caleb, who's a cybersecurity expert over in the States. And at the start of the year, he went through and blocked 300 people from his contact list. And I've done the same thing. And I'll tell you why I've done it, because there's certain people's posts that used to really irritate me and start to get back up and their comments. So as you rightly say, all you're doing by responding is encouraging them. So I've removed the temptation to respond by blocking them from my LinkedIn feed. And I've now said to myself, every week I'm going to go through all my contacts, and any of them who I see being snipey or bullying or any nasty comments, rather than try and save the world by making comments back, I'm going to block them so I don't have to read it anymore. I know that's not the solution to the problem, but I do think we worry too much sometimes on other people's comments and what people say when we could be focusing our time on better things.
Yeah, and I've come across posts, and even earlier on, I think I made the mistake of saying, don't be like Facebook on here. And really, like, somebody took me aside and be like, what's wrong with sharing stories and what you're going through and making this human connection? I was like, you know what? I was wrong. Like, I was touting what everybody else was trying to say on there, and it's just a business platform. But I've learned from so many people, it's not even in this industry, it's people trying to bring the human behavior, humanity, to business. We are humans.
The thing
We're
is,
not
Jessica,
numbered.
business is built on relationships, and it always has been. So these people who say this shouldn't be like Facebook, you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that, they clearly don't understand how business works, because when you get to see the real side of someone, don't get me wrong, I don't want too many selfies of people relaxing by the fire and taking pictures of themselves. There is a limit. But equally, I think it's important to show people who you really are, because people buy off people as well. And whether that's if you're looking for a job or you've got a service to sell, sales funnels that I think was fantastically successful the last kind of 7 to 10 years. The kind of automated sales process online has become a very, very successful money making machine. I think, excuse me, from my own experience in sales, that the pandemic has driven a behavioral change in the way people buy. And we've become more isolated as it is anyway. So that connection becomes more and more important. So people's buying style the last 18 months to 2 years is changing to that of wanting that personal engagement. So people who are doing the Facebook stuff and the more empathetic or look who I really am and sharing their griefs and their successes, they're the ones who are going to forge those strong relationships moving forward. And
Yeah,
when we
and
all get herded into the metaverse and forced to converse with people by Facebook, you know.
um, I think I shared on there that, I'm not certified anymore. My certifications were back from 2000 when they didn't expire, and I let them go even before they expired, and they've moved on to where you have to recertify every 3 years or whatever. And at the time, depending where I was in my life, I didn't have either the money to do it. I was a single parent. I was in between jobs, just whatever. There's things that happen, but I still had my skill set. I still had my experiences from my jobs, and I used that, and not so much certifications. And I was honest on there. Like I've failed the Security Plus several times before I actually got into this job. Like I didn't come in here with a Security Plus certification. I don't have any security certifications right now as it is. There are a couple things I don't want to get into and get eventually, but the reason why I had trouble and I struggled with the test and learning it, is because I wasn't in the job. And the way I learn and pick up things and it really sticks with me, I have to be in it and doing
Yeah.
it. And then that it makes sense. And like I'm for sure I could pass it now. But
I'm the same. I'm terrible at
yeah,
exams.
I'm
Just
I'm horrible. And one of the exams I got, it was all answers and acronyms. And I was like, what the hell? It's just like I
you can question some of the exams out there as well, especially the multiple guess ones. We used to have a method in financial services. If you didn't know the answer, you went for C or the longest answer, and that seemed to get me through a couple of exams. And that's my point. You've got two types of people. You've got people like me who could retain the knowledge enough to remember enough right answers, but not really relate that to anything. Or you've got
Mhm.
the people who actually digest it and understand it. And I don't think managing to pass a multiple choice exam is a demonstration to an employer that you can relate the knowledge, which is why it's a great way for fundamental learning. But when it comes to then applying what you've learned, you have to demonstrate it in some sort of practical way, whether that's by building a lab or demonstrating what you've learned in other ways. I'm like you, though. I can't learn anything or do anything without physically doing it. So
Yeah.
I'm probably the
And
wrong person to be giving advice.
yeah, and that's what I tell people when they're like, I'm struggling passing this exam. I feel like an idiot, and that's why I put my post out there. Like, you're not an idiot. We learn differently.
Yeah.
I learn the best when I'm hands in there. Yes, I can read books. Yes, I have books to go back through and look stuff up, but I really don't ingest it until I'm actually doing the job. And I think some of the mistakes that we're making in the industry with interviews is I've been in interviews where they're just like hammer me with all these technical questions, and you get nervous, things fly out of your head that you should know,
Yeah.
or like it just, they're putting that pressure on you. Some of them I've wanted to say, what, give me 8 hours with you guys. Let me show you what I can do.
I think that there's a lot to be said for having some form of practical assessment. When we used to employ people at my previous financial services firm, we used to take people on for a day trial to see how they got on, because then you see how they are with regards to a cultural fit. And again, going back to smaller organizations, if you're working in a team of, between 10 to 50 people, it becomes quite intimate in a way that you have to work with these people, develop relationships. And no one can tell from a video interview or a telephone call for 40 minutes, whether you're going to fit into that or not, I don't think. And it seems the whole process is broken full stop, especially in cybersecurity, because of the whole mismatch between firms actually not understanding what they need. So back again to the smaller companies, they're advertising for positions and people keep mocking them for it. And I
Mhm.
understand why, saying they want a CISSP entry level, and it's because the people don't know what they need. And
Yeah,
it's the
they
same
don't
when
understand
I
it.
help firms win freelancer contracts in cybersecurity. The people who are asking for pen tests, half the time when you engage them in conversation, they're nowhere near needing a pen test yet. They've got loads of work to do before then. There's no point paying for a test to tell you that your security's in a mess and it needs sorting out. I don't know. It's back to that understanding again, isn't it?
Yeah. And like, unfortunately, the recruiters, the HR, if they don't have a technical background, you can go out and Google, well, what does this person need? Well, you'll Google and get this crazy list of what they think they need,
Yeah,
and they kind of get like, and then they'll put that out there for the job description, and it'll be entry level. And then they're wanting 5+ years. And I'm like, that's not entry level. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. I mean, if it's a truly entry level position, and I've not gotten into it with recruiters, but I'm like, if this is entry level, then it's entry level. This is where you start. And the nice thing about my company and my team and my leadership is they understand that. And we've hired people who didn't work in the IT space, but they had those analytical skills. They showed that they were, educating themselves. They just had the right people skills, analytical skills, and we gave them a shot, and
yeah.
they flourished. I mean, you've got to be open to that.
You have. I think what I want to touch on, we've only got probably about 10 minutes, and I think I want to talk about leadership and how important that is. And it comes off the back of a conversation I had with my 16-year-old son the other day, and it reminded me of being at school, even though it is a long time ago. And think back to the lessons that I used to enjoy. There was a common theme in those. There was two things. There was the interest that you had for the subject, but that was driven by the main thing, which was the passion of the teacher.
Hmm.
And this is why things like this are so important, because people get to hear from people who've achieved and succeeded in the industry. And getting a mentor or guidance, I think, is crucial to someone succeeding. But getting the right mentor and right guidance is even more important. And I don't think everyone should have to give up their time for free. I mean, there comes to a point where people are going to charge for that relationship, and I understand it completely. But rather than jumping into a relationship like that with someone, I would encourage anyone to find the right person. And the only way you can do that is by spending time speaking to people, because to be led by anyone or to lead anyone, you have to have that common interest for a start. And you have to get on, don't you? And not all of the leaders out there are quite what they purport to be either, perhaps. But have you been inspired by any particular people within the industry?
I have. There are people out there on LinkedIn that have blown me away and amazed me. Um, and I can't sit here and name all of them, but one of them
No,
that,
I didn't expect you to do that. I'll be typing frantically to try and get it in the.
yeah, one of them that I've been so impressed with and the things that he's doing is JJ. I
Yeah.
mean, oh my gosh, like he's amazing. And I really appreciate the time he's taking and building what he's doing. And I know he gets a lot of flack from other higher leaders in the industry, and he shouldn't. I think it's sad. Um, but
It is sad. It's also quite a compliment as well for him, and I think he knows that. And
yeah.
he's one of the few people I've met. I completely agree with you. He's doing it for the right reasons, and I think one of his posts the other day hit quite a nerve with me. And the reason for him doing it, and this is the differentiator, he's doing it because no one ever did it for him. I mean, I never had a father figure or anyone to kind of lead me when I was younger, and I ended up going off the rails, if you want to call it that, and being a bit of a handful for my youth. And guidance and leadership is something I'm really strong on, and it's why I've tried to be a good dad to my 6 children, and why that's so important to me. And I think JJ's drive is similar to mine in that he wants to give people what he never had. And he also
Mhm.
sees there's a lot of people out there talking a lot of bullshit, who are taking a lot of money off people. And I think the one thing I'd say about the guy is he's genuine, and he might not be one of the most experienced people in the industry, but he's definitely one of the most passionate. He's definitely one of the most objective. And he's also one who'll admit if he's wrong as well. And
Yeah,
which is so important. And you said it earlier, Jessica, we learn more from our failures than we do from anything that we achieve, in my opinion.
yeah,
I've got a bit of light shining on your screen. I don't know
yeah,
why.
I do. I'm like
Is
the
it, you're
sun.
just showing off that you've got sunshine at yours, aren't you? That's what it is.
I'm
So,
like, ah.
I told you it was so cold at mine. We've got a couple of minutes left. Is there any message in particular you want to get across to people who are looking to get into the industry?
I think my message would be, if you've got the passion for it, stick with it. It's hard. It's not easy. I know it can be discouraging. I know there are people out there who would like to discourage, the gatekeepers and stuff like that. But, there's a lot of us out here like you, like JJ, like myself, who want you guys here. We need you guys here. And please stick with it. And you will have days where you're like, why the hell am I doing this? This is hard. But life is hard. This will like grow your development. If you can stick with it, stick with your passion and get on there and start communicating with this community and forget about the naysayers. You're going to run across people that will make you feel stupid. They're not worth thinking about. They're not worth talking to. Stay connected with those that are willing to support you.
Yeah.
You'll get there. Stick with it. You can do it. And we're here to support.
Thank you, Jessica. I think my grandmother had a saying, and it was lay down with dogs and get fleas. I suppose she had loads of funny sayings, my grandmother. She also used to have one that was all fur coat and no knickers, which meant someone who talked a good game but didn't actually deliver on anything. But the point is, it goes both ways, doesn't it? You are who you surround yourself with. And I think there's lots of communities out there. I mean, I'll do a plug for mine at the end because it's kind of the whole reason of InfoSec Live is community, but the importance of it, whether it's Cyber Mentor Dojo, Cyber Jobs Hunting, I've got to keep thinking of all now, ESDN, whole Cyber Human Initiative, you've got Simply Cyber. There's just so many great communities out there. Don't just jump in and say, can you get me a job? Because we get quite a few people jump in and do that. Probably
Yeah.
not the answer. The answer is developing relationships, and the only way you do that is connecting with people. So whatever way you do that, I think that's the most important message to give, and reiterate what you said, Jessica, not to listen to the people, the naysayers, and maybe take my advice, and if they annoy you too much, just block them on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
and then you don't have to see their poisonous posts anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if you're introvert, if you have a hard time communicating or talking with people, be real with somebody when you're talking to them. Hey, this is uncomfortable for me. I'm not used to this. Can you help me with this area? But yes, just saying, hey, can you get me a job is not, it's not helpful. It's not going to get you where you want. Communicate, tell your story. That really helps get a lot of answers and questions out there, because when you start telling your story and they start sharing with you, you learn about what areas you may need to develop, what areas you want to be in. So don't be afraid to be vulnerable.
I think what you missed, if you struggle to communicate and you find it difficult, tell people. People will understand. People are much more friendly than you think sometimes. It's just get your head up there and get the message out and start shouting about yourself, I think is my message. Jessica, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to play out with a little 30-second clip, which is of some of our community members telling you how much fun they've had in the InfoSec Live community. It's free to join. If you are looking for some support, come and jump in. We have a Meet the Members event at 8 o'clock every Saturday. That's Greenwich Mean Time, London time, where we host it on a GatherTown platform where the community can get together, meet new people, and basically share our stories. So if anyone wants to come, it'd be great to see you. Jessica, thank you so much for your time. I'm jealous you
You.
don't get to play with Play-Doh, and I'm not. Thank you very much. See you all soon.
Thank you.
And it's been so great to be part of this awesome community where you can learn, get potential jobs, and this is the part that the community has helped me the most, being able to get a great contract in security, and thanks for this.
You don't have to be super experienced in order to contribute. They really foster a sense of community, and they encourage everybody to contribute anything that they can, regardless of whether you're just starting out in your career or if you've been in the career for decades. I like the different challenges that they have, the different pathways that you can follow, the fact that you can join communities that are specific to you and your needs. It's a new and growing and thriving group, and I'm really proud that I was able to be a part of it from almost the very beginning.
It's given me a community I could lean on, and the people in there are always willing to help. I've also gotten to break into cybersecurity because of InfoSec Live, and I'm very grateful for that.
Cybersecurity professional or are trying to become one, you need to get onto InfoSec Live.
Whether you brand new to the field, whether you are pivoting from another IT career or you're pivoting from a non-IT career, this is the place for you to. Also, even if you are an experienced professional, there will be something here that you can learn.
InfoSec Live has been great for me because it's brought me closer to other like-minded people, and I've been able to pick the brains of some real industry experts that are also part of the community.
To the right place, because listen, let me tell you that infosec.live is everything that it claims to be. A vibrant community. They've got all that you need on infosec.live. Listen, they tell you infosec.live is addictive. Get on board. Come and get addicted.
Get on InfoSec now.